Hi, my name is Arleen and I'm a health coach who specializes helping people overcome night eating syndrome. I'm trained in the field of functional medicine, but I specialize in night eating syndrome because I have had it for almost a decade, and it was one of the toughest challenges, one of the toughest things to overcome because really there's very little help out there. And night eating syndrome is just one of these things that really steals your joy and takes you away from the people and things that you're meant to enjoy in life. So now I work with numerous clients to help them overcome NES, and I have done so for the last 5 years. And those who have overcome NES and who have been through the experience really tell me that they've experienced such freedom and relief after they finally overcome NES. And so I put together this little video series in order to help your loved ones and you understand what are the fundamentals involved in NES, what is really driving it, what are the mistakes that you might be making, and what are some practical applications to help you kickstart your recovery journey. After I overcame my battle with NES, I really started to talk more about NES on my Instagram at the time, and I wanted to raise awareness given that there's almost no help out there and so little people have heard of it. And I got more and more people asking for help on this issue, and this eventually ended up leading to me coaching people full-time now, as I'm doing today. The first thing I learned when working with people with NES is that people are more similar than they are different in terms of their patterns. And there are some identifiable root causes and perpetuating factors that keep people stuck in their NES cycle. And there are also some definitive strategies that I've developed to help people out of their habit loops that keeps them stuck. And the path to recovery for people is often more similar than is different as well. And that is what I want to talk about with you today. So I want to share with you what are the different stages of recovery and what do they look like. So as a first practical step, I want you to take note of what your NES is like now, which means how many times per week or per night do you engage in night eating? How many calories roughly are you consuming? This is a good starting point that will help you figure out whether or not you're making progress on your recovery journey, and I'll talk more about why that is later. So if you're like most of my clients, you may think recovery will just happen from one day to the next. You might wake up one morning and you're just over it. Or perhaps you think that one day you'll have enough willpower in order to overcome NES. Or perhaps you think there's like this one magic thing or this one magic pill that you'll take in order to overcome NES. But unfortunately, that's not really how it works. And here's the secret. In reality, there's no willpower required to overcome NES. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in the next few days. Here's the next secret. NES recovery rarely happens all at once. It usually happens in 7 different stages. It's a gradual process of learning how to unwind the causes that are keeping you stuck and to fit the different pieces of the NES puzzle together. So throughout my time of working with numerous clients in the last 5 years and through my own journey, I have observed and identified a repeat pattern to recovery. And I call these the 7 stages of recovery. So I will talk about the 7 stages of recovery now. So stage 1 is where you wake up every single night, once or multiple times a night, and you feel a total loss of control and there's no element of choice in your actions. As soon as you wake up, you head straight into the kitchen and you often only realize that you're eating after you've already started. Your behavior is almost automatic and you can't identify any thought or pattern between waking up and eating food. You may be eating upwards of 1,000 or 1,500 calories. You may also be eating most of your calories after dinner and before bedtime. Stage 2 is where you wake up and you immediately think of eating. At this stage, there is an awareness and a choice around eating in the middle of the night. The action is not fully automatic. Rather, you feel justified in making the choice to night eat because you reason that you need the food to get back to sleep. There is a choice, but since the urge feels so overwhelming, you cannot stop yourself from eating. So you eat to relieve the strong, uncomfortable urge. And at this stage, you're more likely to eat around 600 to 1500 calories. Stage 3, this is when you wake up and you still have an urge to eat and you still choose to eat every time you wake up, but you have some control over what you eat. You can go back, usually eating fewer calories, between around 200 to 600 calories, and you choose to eat healthier foods. For instance, you have a piece of cheese over ice cream or a piece of fruit over cookies. Stage 4, the urge is slightly less controlling here. So you manage to choose to stay in bed some of the time to endure the NES feelings. However, you're relying too much on your own willpower to endure the NES feelings. So you never normally manage a stretch for longer than 2 to 3 days, as the urge is still very controlling and strong. At this stage, you're likely only eating around 200 to 600 calories. Stage 5, the urge to night eat now only comes occasionally. You still manage to stay in bed most of the week without exerting willpower, but occasionally a strong urge overtakes you and you do night eat. You're not overly consumed about thoughts of night eating the next day, and you're able to forgive yourself and move on despite the initial disappointment. Stage 6, the urges to night eat are now weak and more like fleeting thoughts rather than controlling urges. As a result, you have little to no desire to night eat. Occasionally it might still happen, but you move on with your day without criticism if it does happen. And stage 7 is the final stage. You're now fully recovered. You have stopped having urges to night eat, and there's no real desire to night eat either. Occasionally, within the first year of recovery, what I see is that there are some fleeting thoughts still of night eating that may still come and enter your mind, but it passes quickly and you're able to stay in bed and get back to sleep. Sometimes you may even wake up hungry at night, but you're able to go back to sleep without night eating. So those are the 7 stages of recovery that I see my clients go through. You can try and identify where you're at in your recovery journey right now. And I hope that the awareness of the stages really frees you from that all or nothing mindset and help you celebrate the incremental steps of progress that you're making in your recovery. Please, if this video was helpful, leave a comment telling me what stage of recovery you're in, or maybe you feel like one of the stages didn't describe you, and that can happen sometimes. Maybe you're between some of the stages, or maybe you wanted to add your own stage below in the comments section. I'd always be happy to hear what you think. And of course, if you feel like you need more help, one-to-one help, you can always reach out to me. I will leave a link to my website below where you can schedule a free one-to-one discovery call. I hope to see you in the next video.